Yes. And then also, according to this PhD holder, he says, Constant, he says, what you do with what you know is more important than what you know. So if you have the knowledge and you are not able to utilize it, then it doesn't make you an entrepreneur. You need to be able to utilize the skill sets that you hold to make you become an entrepreneur. Now let's think through. There are many questions that borders us as we go through this course. What the first step is, what is an entrepreneur? Why do we have to worry ourselves with entrepreneur? How can one become an entrepreneur, or how to become an entrepreneur? When do I have to pursue entrepreneurship? So we need to be able to critically think through these ones and then come up with answers to address some of these questions. And then going forward, what we can say, according to Fred Kessner 2010, he says that entrepreneurship is the future. And then if we are able to solve the or the problems of this world, then we have to really look well in the direction of entrepreneurship. And then he's saying that entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs are persons who are also able to take care of the world challenges that comes up and be able to address the concerns of the society. And they are also winners of the future, and they are able to create their own future. Now, what others also believe is that being able to innovate makes you an entrepreneur. So we look at innovation, what's the wealth of the new wealth of nations? How is it impacting on society? When we look into, or when we take our minds back to economics, we have Adam Smith. He is saying that we have 3 factors of production. So that those are the key factors that really moves any nation. But the question is that we have been witnessing recently that much as some of these, there are some countries who are not able to identify with having a portion of the land, the labor, and the capital, yet these countries are far advanced, irrespective of what they have. Looking at Africa, we have a lot of natural resources, but can we compare ourselves to some of these countries, such as Japan, North Korea, etc.? Then the question, we need to really address it. So that brings to mind that there's more to what Adam was saying than we are witnessing. So in events, we can say that there are 2 more factors that we need to look up to. We have the innovation, that is our ability to explore, and then entrepreneurship, ability to be able to be creative so that we'll be able to come up to get the needed, to be able to create wealth ourselves. Let's look at entrepreneurship and self-reliance. Now, we are told here that there is no better way of providing the basis in knowing how the economy is growing. Instead, we have entrepreneurs who are now moving the society ahead. That is according to David McClelland, 1980. Now, recently, entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs are now being recognized. They are now seen as persons who are heroes of society because they are able to come up with ideas to be able to move the countries forward. Now, in terms of having models, we are told here that the freedom of being able to do things on your own, your ability to create, your zeal, and then the courage to hold on there. According to Benz, he is saying that to make you deem yourself being a better entrepreneur. Let's look at how entrepreneurship came up. evolution of entrepreneurship around the world and how others are seeing it. We are seeing that in the advent or in this 21st century, we are witnessing a lot of evolutions coming up. People and major factors are moving the world and moving countries ahead. And then we see small businesses coming up everywhere in the world, globally. We are seeing that firms are coming up. People are moving themselves, being creative, being able to do things, to be able to move their countries to the next level. Now, in essence, we can say that small firms are experts in innovation. This means that they are able to take the risk that bigger businesses are not able to take. Then the best word to describe such a move is entrepreneurship. So we should know that with entrepreneurship, many things are coming up in these advents of 21st century. Now, we can have examples as now currently we are in the technology era. We are always talking about Bill Gates, we are talking about Dell, etc. All those people who have moved technology to the next level. Their innovations and inventions are benefiting a lot of countries, and it is helping them move forward. Through some of their innovations and inventions, now we are even able to come out with this Zoom, and then we are able to come up to give information to our students, talk to our students via this medium, and then things are now more relaxed to some extent. Other influences are that we can say that technology has also been able to take care of some of the issues that were dragging countries back. In events of these new technologies, things have emerged. And now where various ways of advertising, as an example, have been done. In terms of printing, now formally you will print and then you have to present copies. Now everything is going the soft way, etc. Things have moved and progressed within this short time, and then it is really helping most economies to move to the next level. And then with this technology era too, persons are able to take control of their own lives and then be able to come out to do things on their own based on technology. Now we have persons who time back, if they have some products that they even want to trade in, they'll be hiding in their corner. But now because of technology, everyone is out there doing things, advertising so many places. And then, you know, things are changing. A lot of developments are going on. So all these are through the innovations and inventions of persons. Let's look at the evolution of entrepreneurship in Ghana. Now, before these Europeans came in, what we need, we were witnessing were that we have our earlier ancestors. What they did was that they did barter trade. They procured the items and then they trade it with the other people. We have minerals, we have the woven cloth, etc. They were just hand trading it. But then after the independence, we realized that things changed. Now we could trade in with those foreign words in the foreign world with, you know, using the monetary means. All those are ways of inventions and innovations, because formerly we were not even using money as we just have an item. For instance, if I have I need sugar and then you have Milo and then you also need a sugar, we just exchange and then everyone owns it. But then through the advent of innovations and inventions, we're able to come up with this legal tender, that's the money, and then we have been able to utilize it, etc. And then through that, even we have advanced. Now we are even going away, and then we are even using the means of paperless money. That is going electronic. You pay with electronic. Now we have moved up, advanced to the extent that we even use the mobile system to transfer and make payments. In terms of what we do, we are using credit cards, etc. All those are ways of inventions and innovations by people who have, you know, thought through and then come out with all those things. Now, looking at a little about our history, we realize that formerly, per our history, We have General Champion coming out encouraging state-owned and then joint states foreign ownership, as well as private Ghanaian foreign partnership to own things within the country. From there, from what he did, we have another leader also coming saying that we need to diversity and implement policy to be able to guide what we do so that people will not take advantage of the system and then abuse it. We have another one coming in to also say that let's have this venture of capital trust fund, which will help us to assist some of our medium and small scale enterprises. Now, another one came with, we have President Mills coming with a better Ghana agenda that facilitated the use of the various incentive schemes to give credits to persons who are into smaller businesses, etc., vis-a-vis the NBSSI. Came up, others also came up to join the Better Ghana agenda, and now we have various things, the Better Ghana agenda being continued. So what we are trying to say is that much as we foretell that entrepreneurship is good, now it gets to a point that we have to be able, they need to be assisted, but then various, leaders are also attesting to the fact that if these ones are supported to some extent, then they'll be able to better sustain themselves. So now, on and on we go. Now, the visibility or the relevance of entrepreneurship is becoming more prominent, and then we need that direction, and based on whatever we come to the school to study, we should be able to sustain ourselves within those range, utilizing it. So let's look at a bit about some of the theories that underline some of the underlying. We have the masses theory. To the masses, the rise of small firms is just another subtler way for this trend to manifest itself. He's saying that much as we have a number of smaller firms coming up, it is good because it will help people to be able to sustain their lives. So the rise, they encourage more of smaller firms coming up. Schumacher arguing that growth of small firms is part of social trend towards a more democratic and responsive society. Small is beautiful, meaning that if anyone or everyone is able to come out to think through, to be able to be creative and innovative, then we have so many of our challenges within the society being taken care of. Yet, if there is any issue about some technology thing that we need, somebody will think through and then also come up to invent it or to come up with an innovation, and then it will be extended. Good. So he is also talking in the sense that much as researchers have argued that technology has fueled growth of smaller firms, currently we are seeing that we have markets coming up. People have their own ideas, and then supported by technology, they can move to the next level. So therefore, small is beautiful is now becoming more professed. We also have the traditional theories and classical economists. They try to link entrepreneurship, that's the creation of new firms, and then economic growth, and how impactful it is. So much as we are trying to come up to create the new companies or new firms, there should be a link between its creation and its growth. Of course, you can come up to think about something, but your ability to bring it out, to become sustained or to invent it is another thing. It's not everything that we think about that can be, put out there and then be innovative. So much as we have creativity trying to open doors, there are shortfalls somewhere, and then people are not able to address it well. So we are saying that whereby we have new entrants being displaced, inefficient ones are also there, and then they will also have to relook at the way they are handling their processes. So if you deem yourself to be creative, if you're able to create, then the next level is you are going to be innovative. How are you going to innovate it? You have to think through something. So how do you bring it to bear? The fact that you think about it doesn't make it we have thought about it, that doesn't make it an innovation. No, it doesn't work like that. So we have to be able to draw the thin line between creativity and innovation, and how we can be able to link the two. Let's move away a little from some of these theories and look at this one. Much as we talk about some of these evolution theories, we are being told here, let me finish with this one, go to the next level. We have these creative, innovative ways enhancing or bringing up competition in terms of the enterprises people bring up. Because of course, if you come up to create and then you are not able to do it, well, I'll just really look at what you have done and then come up with a better way of doing it. And then I will be able to sustain myself within the market. And then again, we are told here that we have a knowledge spillovers. That is trying to transfer the knowledge from one point to another, 8 points to origin to other individuals or organizations. So much as much as you come up with something, make sure that you are able to guard it, come out with it to make it sure that it becomes innovative, and then it is moved to the next level. Of course, if you have an idea and you have created it, it doesn't warrant that you would be able to bring it out. You can decide to even talk to somebody, and then you collaborate to be able to bring that idea to bear. Based on this creativity too, we have diversity in terms of enterprises coming up, diversity in ideas, being unique, and being able to influence the growth in the economy. Of course, if you have one person producing one product, the person will become a sole holder of that thing, and then he or she will be able to control the market. But if you have other also doing, competition is very good, so that it puts others on their toes, and then it's able to stir the affairs within the society. So of course, now we have, let's use the phone as an example. When we initially started, there was this phone that was as big as, that they call it the Yam phone. And then eventually we see other manufacturers also coming. We had the Nokia coming up. We have the Samsung coming up. We have now we have the iPhones. We have the Apples. Yes, they are all phones, but then they have different apps. They have different ways that they have brought them up. And then based on your taste and your need, you'll be able to decide which one you want. And even that, now people are also coming up to do more. So you realize that innovations or inventions, or if I put it, creativity, is now steering the affairs of the society. So if you tell yourself that you have come up with something and you stay there, before you know, others have been able to outdo you in the market, in the society or in the marketplace. Now, means of attracting money. Of course, the employer will rely on the employee to be able to work together so that they'll be able to get money to sustain themselves. If it has to do with investment, if you are self-employed, you can decide to liaise with an investor based on the idea that you have, and then the two of you work hand in hand, and then be able to act. So much as the employer is seeking to attract money, the investor is doing same, the employee is doing same. Somebody who is self-employed will also want people to be attracted to patronize his or her product. So that is how we see it. So we have to understand and know how we'll be able to attract money, not using the juju means. No, we have to be able to understand what we are doing, the work that we are doing, what our focus is, how we can do what we know to do best, so that we'll be able to attract money. That is what is there. Why entrepreneurship? Why do we have to even worry you with entrepreneurship? After all, you can tell yourself you are doing, so what do you need about entrepreneurship? We are being told here that irrespective of whether you are an entrepreneurship student, you're a manager, of course, you have some people working, etc. Now, to be able to drive the engine of growth, you have to be innovative, and then you also should be able to be free to be able to think through what you are doing, to come up with new things, so that you'll be able to take care of yourself, self-reliance, and then you'll be able to become more sustained within the society. That is according to Stotts. And then research has also come up to say that entrepreneurship education is currently needed throughout the society or the world because of the way things are. Currently, we can say that with the advent of these COVID-19, so many things have come. Now inventing, everybody is thinking through around the clock to be able to come up with something to help, resolve or save some of the challenges of the society. And based on entrepreneurship, to realize that joblessness or people coming up of school and saying they wouldn't get work to do, it will go off. We are saying that we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that if you have chunk of the populace, the young unemployed, what we can say is that it becomes a threat to the society. The society will not grow, and then we have deviant characters coming up. So there is the essence of trying to inculcate this so that every individual who is being passed through this course will be able to understand that he will be able to make it through his inventions or creative abilities. Purpose of entrepreneurship. We need to make sure that based on this, we are able to provide new skill sets to persons or students who are engaging in this course. They need to be able to reshape their thinking and their mindset, practice or have take into consideration some of the contexts they should find themselves in whilst they are studying their programs. And then students should be able to own the knowledge that they are acquiring, because it depends on what subjects that you are being taught and which your where your interest lies. For instance, let's say that there is a course in web design, and then you as an individual, you just love the course. Through this entrepreneurship thing that we are teaching you, you can think around works, things around web designing, what you can also do to improve what the happenings are in the society, things that you can come up with in terms of web design to be able to help improve what is already there, or to be able to niche for yourself so that you know that you are also a web designer, but this is how you do your stuff, and then people will get to know you through that. All boils down to your creativity and then your innovativeness, how you'll be able to do it. Let's continue. So in terms of trying to define entrepreneurship education, let me look at the first one. It says that entrepreneurship refers to an individual's ability to turn ideas into action. It includes creativity, innovation, and risk-taking, as well as the ability to plan and manage projects in order to achieve objectives. So that if, as an individual, you are able to turn your ideas into action, then gradually you are getting there to be creative, innovative, and then much as the ideas are challenging, there are some individuals who like to challenge themselves based on the situations that they find themselves in. So that if you are the person who is able to take some level of risk, challenge yourself a little, be able to think outside the box and know that this is something that I wish I could do, try your hands on it, then you are sure to be able to manage the project and achieve the objectives that you have set for yourself. So that is basically the key definition to entrepreneurship education. Of course, other authors come to tell us a lot about the entrepreneurship education, your ability to identify innovation worthy of commercialization. So based on the idea that you'll be able to harbor in there, how you'll be able to think around it to make it more productive. In terms of commercializing it, makes you to be there as an entrepreneur. Your ability to convert your invention into a product or service. Of course, there are products that you can come up with, something tangible, and there are services that you can render in the form of creativity that will make you become an entrepreneur. Of course, growing up, we never had this cleaning services. Somebody sat through and said that, fine, we can come up with, I can set up an organization or company that will take care of cleaning. What do I mean by cleaning? You can say that, fine, you just serve your organization and decide that we are going to apply A, B, C, D, Z to help you to be able to clean and clean well. And then if you're able to trade that your idea and bring it to bear, then you are there. You have been able to utilize your entrepreneurship skills and gradually be able to be able to penetrate into the world market. So these are some of the information according to Gardner and then Ketchum. Let's move on. According to an unpublished work by Osum, he says that students' entrepreneurship is about inculcating into students the competence, creation skills, and which enable them to move things ahead in their lives. So if we say that we are passing you through this course, all we are trying to inculcate in you is that we want you to be competent in terms of what you do. We want you to be able to value most of the courses that you do, be able to understand it critically, and come out to have creative ways around some of the work that you are doing. And then you should be able to also take charge of your life using that that you have. I just gave an example of a web designer. And there are other courses that you do. You do the database based on what we have there. You can think around the things that they do in database. Those professionals or those people who are already into working with the database, what they have done and what they are doing, and you as a student, what can you also to be different so that you can also be able to be recognized well in terms of those arenas, and whatever the thing that you are going to come up with, how useful it is going to be able to help you, to sustain you in terms of taking care of yourself. That makes you a good student entrepreneur. Along the line, if you have any questions, you don't note them. When we are through with the slides, I'll address those. This is also according to the unpublished work by also meaning that when you take creativity of the students' entrepreneurship, it starts from creativity and it ends in innovation. Ability to move to the next level, firm creation, etc., is a plus. So you realize that the arrows are marching from creativity to innovation. You create and then you're able to come out to innovate. But how to put it or to make it a business, that could be a minor. So the moment it gets to innovation, it's either it stays there, or if you're able to move to the third level, which is firm creation, then it becomes a plus for you. The students are able to be creative, they think through, but then they have come up with this innovation. How do they get it out there? That is a challenge. Do you get it? So this is a framework to explaining the behaviors of some of the students' entrepreneurship. Yes, we are believing and hoping that if you're able to move to the second level, then you should be able to get to the third. That's a firm creation, so that you're able to sustain yourself. You shouldn't end at innovation and then keep it on the shelf. No. So we have to look at this critically. Say student entrepreneurship is critical today because of some reasons. Let me look at the first one and the last one. It says that because usually employment provided by existing companies is no longer guaranteed. Now, when you finish school and you go out onto the job market, you have your application in your armpits, and then no one bringing you on board. Yes, because if they will even contact you, they will ask for some years of experience. You don't have it. So where do you find yourself? So we are being told here that either they engage you for a short term and then they let loose of you because they feel that you are not the kind that they want. So in the past, what we saw was that when a child is growing up and then the teacher would ask him, what will you be in the future? They will say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a professor, I want to be this. No one wanted to be a carpenter, no one wanted to be a seamstress, but no one wanted anything that is with the hands. Do you get it? But now things are changing. You can your university education, you have a solid background, and then you digress into those arenas, and then you make it because your foundation is so solid and firm. You have now opened up, you have classmates, you have now entered the world, you know people, and then if you are moving to even trade in, let's say, kinky, yours will sell more than somebody who has not been through your ranking. Why? Because you have been there and you can do it better. What we are trying to say here is that those are some of the challenges, but then we need to instill in some of in our students that they need to be able to sustain themselves well. So a way to test students' creativity and innovation with the aid of the internet and technology in solving the ills of our society and to promote economic growth. Now, currently, what is more interesting is that some of these are young ones, or the students are now using the technology to be able to market the product. It is a plus. Of course, if you go, you have your applications and you're not being brought on board. What you're able to do now, a lot of them are marketing themselves, utilizing the internet to be able to tell the world what their abilities are. And through that, they are getting what is needful, and they are able to sustain themselves in terms of some of the creative things that they bring up. Yes, so these are some of the critical things that we need to look at today. It is not you finishing university and saying that I want job, so I'm going to sit in the house, and if job doesn't come, I'm not going. You have been taught entrepreneurship. You are an IT person. What can you do? You are taught courses. I said you have done database, you have done web design, you have done cyber, something that has to do cyber security, etc. What can you do with all those information? Now you need to sit and reflect, think through, and then also get into the discussion, really look at what others have done, and then also fit yourself into the world market. Entrepreneurship is about action. That is what NEC is telling us, that developing entrepreneurship mindset goes beyond just knowing and talking. It requires you to take action. Of course, if you know about something, you just talk it and you don't put it into practice, it doesn't make you an entrepreneur. So you don't have to let something that you did and you didn't do well draw you back. You need to edge or forge on to be able to succeed. So it requires constant practice. That's notwithstanding, we've been told that practice makes one perfect. So if you do it and you don't get it the first time, do it and redo it, and you sure land there. So we are told here today that entrepreneurship is the mindset. So it is more than just creating and living it. Do you get it? You need to think about the risks that is involved, your ability to take some of these risks and be able to push your idea to become real. Do you get it? Now, if I should even ask now, what some of you are going to become, let's say, what you're going to do after school, I'm sure some of you may not be able to tell me, because they'll tell you that they said I should come to school to study, and then I'm here to study. What do you want for yourself? What do you seek to do in the future? You should have an idea where you even wish to be the next 5 years. Do you get it? Yes. And then you know that you'll be able to work yourself towards that direction. But if you don't and you just leave it in the limbo, that is when you take chances and you don't develop the skill sets that you have. So we should know more about some of these things and then be able to reshape our thinking and our thoughts. Formally, we have traditional and social entrepreneurship. We have defined them. Now, per the traditional entrepreneurship, we are told here it involves the process of creating something new with value. That is when you devote your time to creating something new that will earn you money. And you'll be able to also take care of some of the monetary challenges that come with it, and then be satisfied in terms of what you do. That's what we deem the traditional. And then the social entrepreneurship comprises undertaking that challenge with a view to achieve a socially beneficial goal rather than for profit motive. So traditionally, entrepreneurship was I'll do something, I'll trade in it, and I'll get money, and that ends it. Now, the social entrepreneurship is about coming to do what you know how to do best, getting the monetary aspect, and also being recognized worldwide. That is the difference between the two. Yes. So you need to see yourself as more of a social entrepreneur than a traditional entrepreneur. Now, looking at ourselves, we can try to check ourselves to know whether we have entrepreneurship tendencies. There is a test here that will make you know whether you have the tendencies of entrepreneurship. So after the lecture or before in our next meeting, we need each individual to hit on this link and then perform this test and then come out to print your results and then bring it, and then we will discuss it. We just call in anyone and then we'll just discuss it. You yourself, you know whether you have the entrepreneurship tendencies or not. I think it takes about 10 minutes to do that. So please, I'll entreat you to do that, and I'll be expecting that in our next lecture. That's on the slide 32. So please note it. Now let's get to the business now. Who do we say is an entrepreneur now? People who want to be entrepreneurs are separated from those who are entrepreneurs simply because entrepreneurs are able to do and don't just think about doing. I've said it already. And then it has been restated again by Kessner, 2010. He says that just don't think it, do it and bring it to bear, and that makes you an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, as to our discussion for today, they are able to see opportunities where others don't see. When they find themselves in situations that others are complaining that there are challenges, etc., they are able to see that there are opportunities that they have to chance on, so that they'll be able to do well, come up with an idea to be able to sustain that idea. We are told, secondly, that they are catalysts of change within the marketplace. I've mentioned that through inventions and innovations, we have various or diverse things coming up. Just as I use the phone as an example. Initially, we have these phones by these phone companies. We had the Nokias coming in, we have the Alcatel, etc. Now we have moved on and we even have Apple. All of them are serving the purposes, but then the needs of each individual and what the phone will want to do for that person. It was calling and then sending just messages. Now we have the WhatsApp. We take pictures, we can use it for our emails, etc. Every company to add on so that they'll become more sustained on the market. That makes you a social entrepreneur. Then the third one, an entrepreneurship and is somebody who is able to challenge the unknown and continuously create the future. So that much as they are doing what they know how to do best, at times they don't see clearly what they set off to do. But then they're able to sustain it and then come out with better creations to be able to survive within the future. And they're able to come out with new businesses when in the face of risk, uncertainty, and then achieve profit and growth. I said in this current season, so many inventions and innovations have come up. People are now thriving in it, and then they are sustaining themselves. So much as you deem yourself to be an entrepreneur, you should be able to undertake these innovations yourself, find what you are doing, and then transform some of the things that you have done into reality. The moment you leave it there and you don't move from innovation stage, then it doesn't make you to be a good entrepreneur. So we are told here that we as entrepreneurs, we need to also think of coming out to begin our businesses, beginning new businesses, that the startup. Because of course, when you're able to come out with new creations and new innovations, and you want to come out to move it socially for people to also patronize, then it means that you have to start out with a smaller business or a startup business to be able to sustain that particular product. So you have to look it in that direction. That much as you are there, you should be able to also work yourself through that. I have definitions for entrepreneur currently. A person who starts an enterprise, searches for change and responds to it, etc. So examples of entrepreneur ideas are, I've talked about the phones, we have computers, we have various washing machines coming up, we have various forms of credit cards coming up, and now we have several courier services that are being brought up. Much as we have the courier services, come out with your own courier service. How different can you be? So you try to assess what is already in existence and know how best you can also bring yours up to sustain yourself. That makes you a good entrepreneur. Let's look at the word entrepreneur, entrepreneurship, and enterprise. When we talk of entrepreneur, is the actor, and the entrepreneurship is the act. So the entrepreneur is the individual who is acting. Entrepreneurship is the act of practicing what you know how to do best. And then the outcome of the actor and the act is called the enterprise. So if individual, you practice something that you know how to do, and you're able to come out with an innovation. And then the next thing is what comes up is you'll be able to put together an entity or an enterprise to be able to trade off your products. So an enterprise is a business organization that is formed and which provides goods and services, as well as creates jobs, contributes to national income, exports, and then overall economic development. It also helps in that. So the entrepreneur, the actor, the entrepreneurship, the act, put together, the price come out up. So you should be able to sustain yourself in that arena. I have put together some celebrated Ghanaians in Ghanaian entrepreneurs. We have these prominent men in here and ladies here. Some of the celebrated entrepreneurs. We have this Mrs. Oklu, Dr. Oklu, who has the Inklenu products all over the place. We have the Kamal Group having his products there. We have the Manet coming out to put her businesses together. Now we have these estate companies moving on there. We have this, we have the Amtrak also coming up together, his business, and then having this airline company running. I don't know whether these days we have the Amtrak Air Soul Innovation, but I think he has other businesses, Amtrak group of companies, so he has his businesses being sustained. We have these ones also. We have these CEO of Despite Group coming up with various businesses, thinking through the ideas and then engaging people to also push his agenda forward. All these people are there, and then they are celebrated entrepreneurs within the country. Let's look at the characteristics of entrepreneurs and how they have to behave. 1 minute, I'll be back. So let's continue. Entrepreneurship, their characteristics, and what you have to look out for. These are, I think these are characteristics of some famous entrepreneurs out there. I think you should have followed this one. Yeah. Some famous examples of entrepreneurs. Let's look at some of the characteristics of entrepreneurs. Some of the traits that are common to all entrepreneurs include they are confident people. So as an entrepreneur or somebody who is aspiring to become an entrepreneur, you need to be confident. You need to always have this, feel the sense of ownership. Whatever you are doing, you need to own it and to be able to do it and do it well. You need to be somebody who is able to communicate his or her ideas so that others will understand and then help do things better. You need to be able to be passionate about what you are doing and then be able to do it well. You need to be a team player, meaning that much as you have your ideas come forth, you need to be able to trade your ideas to people and then work in a team so that you get the things done. You can't do it all alone. Of course, when you are thinking through the idea, you can do it alone. come up with the idea, but then when it gets to the implementation stage and you need the extra hands, you need to be able to collaborate with people, team up with people to be able to help do better. You need to be somebody who is dedicated to be able to bring the idea well, let the idea come out well. You need to be somebody who is grateful to whatever situation you find yourself in. Grateful, appreciative. You need to be optimistic. You need to be a leader by example. Of course, if you have an idea and you have formed a team and then you are working together, make sure that when there is time for you to sit down as a team to get the things done, you are there to sit with your team to do things together. You should be somebody who is not afraid of risk or success. So that if you are somebody who is scared that if I'm doing something, am I sure if it doesn't come out well, what will happen? It's going to be a cost and I don't want to have it. So therefore, I'm not going into that. Then it doesn't make you an entrepreneur. You can't be an entrepreneur. You should not be afraid. You shouldn't be afraid of risk because, of course, being an entrepreneur, you'll be able to take some level of risk to be able to get yourself sustained. Qualities of an entrepreneur: self-confidence, optimism. You need to be disciplined and be a realist. Whatever you think, to know that it can happen. You need to be organized. If you are a disorganized person, you can't find yourself being an entrepreneur. No, you need to have a sense of mission, why and why you're doing something, how you have to get it done, and in which way. You need to be somebody who is up to the task, who can work for long hours, energetic, and be able to do things more focused, in a more focused way. You need to be somebody who is able to take initiative. Means you have to be able to think outside the box to be able to do things better. You need to be somebody who is responsible. I think I've said that one earlier. Roles, all those are they are similar. The roles, you assume the risk. Of course, it gets to a time that you yourself will have to dish your hand in your pocket to supply the finances for the work that you are doing. You should be able to think outside the box. Decision maker. You should be an industrial leader. If it has to get to a time that you have to come up with an enterprise, you should be able to initiate it and get it set up. Of course, it's not a big thing that you're about doing. It's a startup. So you need to know how best you can start up, get yourself sustained. You need to be able to combine the factors of production together with the innovation and creation to be able to take care of your work better. You need to be somebody who will be able to utilize the resources well and then know how best you can sustain your startup. Let's continue. Personal entrepreneurship tendencies. We have classification and then sub-strategy. Achievement cluster, how you'll be able to the risk, demand, efficiency, etc. That makes you being able to achieve what you are doing. Then we have the planning. When you talk about planning, we look at how you'll be able to seek information, be systematic in terms of your planning, and then monitor what you do. That is for the planning. And the power aspect is when you are able to network, you are to get your work done, you are independent, and you are confident in what you're doing. When you take that test that I've asked you to take, you see some of these classifications there, and then when you infer, then you understand it more clearer that in terms of achievement cluster, this is what is there. Questions are posed there, so based on that, to be able to address it well. So are entrepreneurs born or made? We would have discussed this in groups. That is if we were to be a first lecture, but we continue. So we'll do it at another time. Now let's look at entrepreneurs born or made. Of course, if people can become entrepreneurs by virtue of their genes, then there would be a little reason why we have to do entrepreneurship. But then we have emphasized that entrepreneurship doesn't follow inheritance. So if your mother was an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean you automatically become entrepreneur. So we are told here that anybody can become an entrepreneur at any stage in your life. And then it can be argued also that learning the tools of business creation is essential. That's if learned now may become useful later, if not immediate. So much as we are passing you through this course, you should know that somebody who can be a born entrepreneur, and then you can also learn it. That's why we are teaching it. So that if you have those tendencies and we instill in you some of this information, it will up that thing in you, and then you'll be able to become more wholesome. That is what we are trying to say. So much as the person has a natural trait, if you're able to also pass the person through this course, it will be well translated into the person becoming an entrepreneur. So he knows the ins and outs of what he or she is doing. Decision to be self-employed. At a point, you decide to be self-employed, but at what point and how should we do it? Owning your own business can be an excellent way to satisfy you personally. But then before you start your own business, you should be aware of some of the ups and downs, positives and negatives, advantages and disadvantages. So let's first look at some of the advantages in terms of starting up your own thing or your own business. The opportunity for independence. That is, you have more control over your life, a means to reach your self-actualization, and then you realize some of the talents and some of the inherent traits that you have and how you can on them to become a better person. Then opportunity for a better lifestyle. Desire to use one's skills fully is the most common motivation. That is the idea that you have to be able to provide the needed service or provide the needed service that other people will need, whilst enjoying your freedom and then fun at what you do. And then your challenge from perseverance and creativity. You don't have any barriers. You are able to do what you know how to do best. You will be able to understand your family better, and then your children also, you'll be able to take care of them well because you are working at your own with your own speed. No one is pushing you. It is not a situation where you have to always 8, close at 5, that routinious thing. No, that is how you want to lead your life, and you are living it. So it's an advantage. Opportunity for profit. Most people start businesses not to get rich, but to earn an honest living. Of course, most entrepreneurs, their main focus is not about the money that they will amass from the people, but the fact that the money that they will sustain themselves. At the same time, socially, they will be recognized in their country and worldwide. That is what they strive for. So opportunity for profit, trying to amass wealth, that is not the decision. Some of the disadvantages we can look at here. Personal liability. You're uncertain of the income that is coming. There are days that you have to work for long hours because whatever you are creating is not coming out well. You have to take care of it. Compensation. If there are any challenges, you need to compensate yourself. If you are working with people, you have to take care of them. Disadvantage, there are instances where all your monies would you get finished and you have to look elsewhere. But how do you do it? One thing we have to note is that you don't have to begin a business with going to the financial agencies for assistance. No, you have to do it from your own coffers, from families, from friends. And then it is at a point that you have realized that whatever I am doing, when I get out there into the market, I'm going to make multiples of money. That is when you source out to get money for what you are doing. So as someone who is self-employed, you need to also respond to the customer's demands and complaints. Much as you have come out with a product, it can happen that that is not what your people want, so you need to change stuff, and then it's all boils down to your own money, and at times it can be killing. So with a small business manager, there's a perseverance. You need to be patient, and then you need to be able to sustain yourself amidst all these challenges so that your business will thrive. Traits of a successful entrepreneur. So that is for being self-employed, the disadvantage. Let's look at the traits somebody who is successful as an entrepreneur. Every successful entrepreneur should possess some of the 4 characteristics: the passion, determination, trustworthiness, and knowledge. So if you mean or deem to be successful, then you should be passionate about what you are doing. You should have the locus of control. That is how people view the ability to determine their own fate. You should be able to take your fate into your hands and then work around the clock, not on luck, to be able to reach out there. You need to be self-innovative and then be creative as an entrepreneur. I said you need to also see opportunities where others are seeing chaos, so that in all things you'll be able to seize the opportunity to come up as tops. Venture creation. How do you come up to start a venture? Startup entity developed with intent of profiting financially. I've mentioned that most entrepreneurs are set up not to amass wealth, but then to be able to sustain their businesses and then to be able to sustain their life. So venture creation, we are told, is a process when you turn new idea or technology into a business that can succeed and attract investors. So whatever you are trying to come up with as an innovation, I said that to be a social entrepreneur, it should be something that is more attracted to the populace socially, internationally, something that people will recognize it and be ready to patronize it, so that you'll be able to survive out there. Of course, these days we are dealing with a lot about technology. So anything that has a relation in that arena should be able to attract people to be interested. That is, if it attracts investors, they want to also invest in it so that it becomes a big thing that you seek to do. So you direct your efforts such that whatever invention that you are coming up with is more sustained. We have rules in terms of creating a venture, creating a new venture or coming up with a new venture. Rules that goes to rule 1, you have to know your customer. Coming out to produce, who are your customers? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. What am I coming up with? Is it a product? Is it services that I'm going to render? How am I going to take care of my customers so that all the time they would love to come back? That is one rule. If you are not able to answer those questions, then you don't have to go in there. You should identify who are my customers. Are they the upper class? Are they the middle class? Are they those below the middle class? What am I going to do? Am I coming out with a product that be attracted by these people? Am I coming out with services that I'm going to render to these people? Is my target group the aged? Is it for kids, etc.? You should identify your customers from the word go. Now, know thyself. That was the second rule. There are key things or key factors that we have to critically assess. Aside the profitability, I said that our main focus is not about the profits. How are you going to produce it? What image are we sending out there? Do you get it? We should note that after 3 to 5 years, for a new business to generate a sufficient income, it's questionable. So within the first 3 years, there's a likelihood you are either not going to make profit or you are going to break even. But you start really seeing, some profits when, let's say, from the 3rd to 5th year. But then, even if it's a profit, then it's some minimal form of profits that you're going to make. But that shouldn't break your front, because after all, if you don't make profits and you break even, you are still there. You are sustaining yourself. All you have to know is you have to know who your competitors are all the time. You'll be able to either be a par with them or out they are doing. Make sure whatever product or whatever services you are rendering, you are able to do better than what they are doing, so that you'll be able to trade yourself more. So you know yourself and know what you can do. Know thyself, continue. We said the enterprise. I think I've said that. Yeah, I've tried to explain that in that slide. So let's look at this one. The framework of. Okay. how to come up to create the venture. It integrates four major perspectives: individuals, the organization, the environment, and then the new venture itself. The individuals are the people involved in starting your new organization. The organization is a kind of firm that you want to start or begin, whether you are coming out with, whether you are rendering services. The environment is where you are setting up the area, the region, the country, etc. Those are your environments. And then the actions that the individual puts together to be able to bring up these ventures. The environment is key because, of course, if you are looking at setting up company to take care of the middle class, it wouldn't be so well to go and situate yourself in a high class zone. No, you have to be closer to the people that you are hoping to serve so that they'll be able to easily reach out to you. If it is a service that you're going to render, you identify the society, whether that services will really even be needed. Yes, for instance, let's say you want to set up a cleaning company. You have to be within the confines of an area where you can easily identify places, persons who are genuinely and really needing your services, of course, so that they could take notes where you're from and then how they can easily reach out to you if need be. So you need to come up with, to be specific about some of these things so that you'll be able to sustain yourself. Two aspects: the person undertaking the venture and then the venture itself. So most times we focus on how to build a business without taking into consideration the people who take charge of it. That is what happens. Because of course, let's say you have come up with your security agency in terms of this IT stuff that you are doing. You have come up to set that company. Now, the focus is how you are looking at how are the people going to see me? How is the business going to grow? Forgetting about the caliber of people that you are going to work with within the company. Of course, you can even set up the company, have a front desk person who inadvertently collapse the company by the way the person even communicates with their customers. So we are told here that venture creation is not a technical subject by which is looked to formally, but rather a mindset and subject. Of course, you know what you are going to do. You have set up your service company. So you should be able to identify the key people who can help your business to grow, and that's it. Okay. So if you know that you are bringing in, let's say Paul, and Paul is not the type who can really communicate or to get people to really patronize my company, you don't have to put him there as a front desk secretary. Of course, let's say it's a marketing, you have come out with a product, you need to market that particular product. Get somebody who has a marketing skills. Either you are engaging somebody who is a marketer or somebody who has a tendency to be able to talk well about whatever product that you have so that others will be interested to patronize. That is what we're looking out for. So the focus is not only the thing that you have come out with, but the people who are going to trade that particular item. That is what we're trying to say. So venture creation is a lifestyle one has to live, and then the process must affect the inner life. So you being somebody who can come out with a venture, you yourself should be one. Do you get it? You should be someone who is affable in terms of relating to people, try to understand people's concerns. You don't have to get angry when people come out to comment on whatever products you have come up with. Of course, once you are dealing with customers are likely to come back to you and tell, this is something that you did, and then I think this is not what I want. So you have to redo it. You have to be able to relate to them well to be able to get the work done. Of course, the persons that will work for you in your absence should also have those qualities to be able to help grow that particular business. Role of venture creation and development. Of course, at a point in time, we have the venture creation, and then we say that we are developing. You create the jobs, which drives economic growth, frees up state resources, fosters competition, etc. Then developing is when you are able to increase the GDP, per capita income, improve your standard of living, you're able to even come out to promote the export. That is, if you're able to come out with that, you have to export. And then you are able to also create wealth, distribute. Creating wealth and distributing means being able to take care of yourself, your family, and others who are really in need, and then you can help, as well as the society, of course, social responsibilities that you can do. It depends on where you are setting up your startup. The community where you find yourself, you can also do one or two to help. That's when we say that you've created wealth and then you are able to distribute some of your wealth to others. So these are some of the stages of venture creations and then developments that you have to look out to. Let's continue. When do you compete? That is when you start your business. At what point in time do you have to compete? When setting up your businesses, you must decide how you will satisfy your customers. So do you need to offer them the best product, the best price, or the best service? That's the question you have to answer. I've said it again, that you have your competitors. Know that once you are coming up, you have come out with the products, created the products and come out with, there are others who are doing similar things. So how can you also find yourself at level with them? Or you have to compete with them so that you get yourself sustained. Of course, if you take, for instance, even the laptops, that is, now we have technology. So let's just, we have laptops. Now we have various forms of laptops. Every minute, new creations are coming up. How best can you do your own site that people will be interested or patronize what you have? What additional, app or what are you adding on so that your products more likable by people who are patronizing it? So operational excellence, meaning that you have to make sure you trade at a price that people will now look in your direction. If we have an Apple laptop at 5,000, you can say that fine, you have something similar, not too high quality as yes, but it's for 3,000. So looking at the money, 2,000, the gap in terms of money, someone who assess that and viable, and then decide to patronize your own. Because after all, they are all going to serve the purpose of being able to utilize for your job. Then high quality, much as your product is not so expensive. Of course, in terms of quality, if you say we are rating it as 100%, you can say it can pass for, let's say, 65%. It's good enough. In terms of how long it will last, let's say Apple is going to last for, let's say, 5 years. Yours can last for 4 years. It's good enough. So the person can say, by that time, I'll even be fed up. I want a new product. So it's good enough. Customer intimacy, the service, I've said it. You need to be able to render the good service, relate to your customers, know them, and try to address their consent so that they will be able to stay with you. You don't have to drive your customers away. No. So all the time, you make sure that you have good customers with you and they are helping push your agenda to the next level. Benefits of venture creation. You create your destiny, meaning that you take your destiny into your hands. You don't go pleading for people to take you in their companies. You make a difference because you're able to come up to own what you are doing, and then you be able to stand up because still people will identify you with your products, and then socially you are recognized. You're able to reach your full potential in terms of self-actualization, meaning that it is something that you love to do and you have been able to do it. So you feel more fulfilled. You get impressive profits. Well, some people have the product and even will want to pay more than you have advertised. And you'll be able to contribute positively to meeting societal needs and then being recognized by society. And then also you'll be able to do what you know how to do best and enjoy doing that. The media image of entrepreneurs, how the media has projected entrepreneurs over the years. The media most times or oftentimes have give some high projections of some overnight entrepreneurs, such that at times people are tempted to question whether they are the only persons in existence who have done what they have been able to do. So they try to somehow exaggerate. For instance, you have Bill Gates, etc. there. And then we have the Steve Jobs, we have Zuckerberg, etc. All those are there. But then they come out to hype them so that if you are not careful, those people will be doing some ills in the society and then it will be overlooked. So we are being told here that whilst we have the likes of Bill Gates and etc. coming up to inspire others to do what they have to do in society, they do little to represent the realities of entrepreneurship. That is what the research is trying to tell us. Yes. So we have to look closer we have at hand in terms of becoming famous as entrepreneurs and what strides we have to take to get ourselves sustained there. When we look at the likes of Bill Gates, as I reiterated just now, they have come to attest that they spent a lot of hours in their programming practice before they were able to come out to launch their first product. That is a Microsoft. So the point is that the number of hours Gates spent programming. The point is not the number of hours Gates spent programming, but the fact is that consistency in practice is able to yield results. Just we have the idea. I said, when you try and you fail, you try and try again, and you get there. So much as you keep trying, you get the experience, and then you're able to know the ways around it. You can have less sleeps to be able to help achieve your aim. That's what we are trying to do. So you need to come up to constantly practice what you are doing. You know how to do and do best, so that you can really lay your hand on the actuals that you want to do. Same with this, the Despite group. This gentleman started, we are told, according to issue, that he started trading or peddling in cassettes. That's what they deemed those years back, padlocks, etc. at, in Dungon. And then eventually, thinking around what he was doing, etc., he realized that he could also come out to do something for himself. I'm sure he did them. He was trading music cassettes. He never ever thought that he was going to own this company, but he thought that, of course, he could do something to improve what he was doing, not only peddling in the cassettes, but then maybe he can come out to produce A, B, C, D, Z. And eventually, I said that you should be somebody who should be able to communicate well and then work in a team. Of course, so if he might have communicated what he has in mind, and then through the guidance and then through others coming together, they were able to help him to become what he is today. So if you say you want to become a good entrepreneur, you should be able to come out to let people understand what you are doing, so that they'll be able to also play their bits to help bring that thing out. There are various myths, on stories that have been told about entrepreneurship, and every day we keep hearing it. Others have been exaggerated. They make you become afraid, and it's like you are all tempted to believe that each of us have the capability of being an entrepreneur, but some of these myths have to be debunked. Let's turn our attention to the truth rather than, some of these stories that they have there. The first truth is that entrepreneurship is not reserved for startups. So while the startup term has various meanings, we are told here that a temporary organization in search of a scalable business model, that's in a traditional view of startups, anyone who starts a business is called an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur rather creates a business based on research to assess the validity of an idea or business model. So it is not anyone setting up, a company or some small enterprise that is termed an entrepreneur, but your ability to come up with your idea and then you research on the idea, trying to bring your creativity into innovation, and then matching up with what others have done already, that will be able to help you be sustained. That is the truth. So you are to fund the business that you are trying to bring up. And then much as I said that you need to be able to communicate your ideas to people, work in a team. I said you don't go borrowing to start your business. So you can have members of your family, etc. Some persons who will be investors who want to invest in the idea so that you give it a try to start up and then see how sustainable it will be. That is one truth about it. So you don't have startups starting a company being for fresh people with fresh ideas. No. Yes, you have to test your idea yourself, know how workable it will become, and then try to get it rolling. Entrepreneurs do not have a special set of personality traits. No, I've tried to explain that even if you have the traits of an entrepreneur, if inherent, you can study the course in addition to get it more polished up so that you can have a broader perspective of what you own, and it will help you to be able to be a better person. So in reality, there is no evidence that suggests that entrepreneurs have special traits of personality traits. No. So your desire plus your achievement, your innocence, your ability to do things on your own, influence others, tendency to take some level of risk, and then your ability to tolerate what you are doing, more sustained. It's not that I did it, oh, I was trying to create this one, I have this web design that I was doing, oh, it didn't come up, oh, let me just stop and forget about it. No. Ability to continue, edge on, the edge that you have to do it over and over again so that you become more perfect. That makes you an entrepreneur. So there is no scientific evidence to confirm whether these traits are a result of nature or nurture, or any proven patterns in the behavior of entrepreneurship versus non-entrepreneurship. Academics researching traits of entrepreneurs seem to have a prevailing fascination with defining who the entrepreneur is, rather than what he or she does. Yes. So if we want to be an entrepreneur, is we should know what the person is doing, how the person thinks and acts. Because from our discussion today, we have been told that whatever you are doing, you have to put it into practice and do it, and then we see the next level. That makes you an entrepreneur. But if you think it and you don't do it and let it come out to bear, make the mistakes, correct it, and get it fine-tuned, then you are not there as an entrepreneur. The truth 3, entrepreneurship can be taught. It's a method that requires practice. However, entrepreneurship is practical and therefore cannot adequately be taught as a process. Untrue, because now, just this evening, we are studying entrepreneurship. We say that instead of a method of practice approach, it presents a body of skills, of course. So we are passing you through the knowledge of the skill sets of entrepreneurship, who the person is, what the person does, the traits, the qualities that makes you entrepreneur, the characteristics, what you seek to do, how you can be one in terms of your ideas. We have gone through it. So we should know that it can be taught, and then based on the models that we are passing ourselves through today, we'll know that we'll be able to put our ideas into practice. That makes us an entrepreneur. They are not extreme risk takers. Much as we are saying that they are not extreme risk takers, they are able to take some level of risk to be able to survive. Because if you are not able to take any risk at all, some level of risk, you can't call yourself an entrepreneur. So we are told that entrepreneurs take some calculated risk and gauge what they are willing to do, what they are willing to lose with every step they take. So much as they have come up with, created an idea, innovate, and try to bring their idea into bear, they have to reassess the risk involved and then try to find the plus and minuses are this. So if I edge on, this is what I would get. Looking at what Bill Gates and the others did, if they have not tried over and over again for those number of hours, they wouldn't have gotten themselves sustained. So we are being told here that there is a need for us to take those calculated risks. Of course, trying over and over again, I'm sure they were using lights, so they were paying for bills. They were using gadgets, some computers, etc., which can have the tendency of crashing, some hitting down and spoiling. All those risks they took, and eventually they had their break. So as an entrepreneur upcoming, you should be able to accommodate some level of risk to be able to be sustained in the world market. So the practice is that you act, you learn, and then you build. And then that will encourage some of these your action to be able to move to the next level. So to be able to be called an entrepreneur, you need to act. You start from here, you act. Then you learn how you have to do what you have to do and do it better. And then you build. Let it practice it. Let us see your practice in what you are doing. Then when you let it out, that is what makes you an entrepreneur. And then we have the truth. Entrepreneurs collaborate more than they compete. So in events where we have persons competing against each other, no, you should be somebody who will be able to collaborate, sell your ideas together with people, let people understand what you're trying to do, and then they will also be able to assist you in terms of what you are doing so that you get yourself more sustained. That is what we are trying to refer to. So they collaborate, they seek for ideas together with people who are thinking in the same direction as them, and then to sustain themselves in doing what they are doing. A picture of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates collaborating on the Apple Mac, despite being fierce competitors. Of course, everyone relies on the other in terms of what they are doing. You can't tell me now that you have Nokia and then Apple being at loggerheads with each other. No, it doesn't work like that. They are at a point in time that they even meet. I'm sure they meet at conferences. They try to discuss what they are doing, and then Nokia can tell Apple that this is what I think you can do, and then add on it to help you. And then Apple can also tell the people, those in charge of Nokia, that this I think, add to your staff and it will help you. So they do collaborate a lot. That is what it is. They know themselves, they collaborate and come out what they are doing. Yes, that is it. Only that they have their trade secrets that they don't let out. But in terms of collaboration, to be able to polish their ideas, they do it a lot. So that's what you should know about collaboration. Entrepreneurs act more than they plan. So we are told here that much as you should be able to act or put together the information that you're seeking to do, so that others will be able to know what you are doing and then patronize. Much as people are understanding what you are doing and patronizing, you should also look for constructive feedback to be able to help do what you are doing better, so that you'll be able to sustain in the market. Entrepreneurship is a life skill. Traditionally, entrepreneurship has been associated mostly with launching new businesses. However, these days, meaning of entrepreneurship has transcended into something more than just the ability to begin a new venture. Okay, people now have skill sets, and then they try to apply areas or different areas. These skill sets are able to give them diverse ideas to be able to come up with different ways of doing things, think outside the box, come out to deal with uncertainty in terms of the future, and then be able to polish whatever the idea and then let it be sustained on the market socially, countrywide, and internationally. So I'll halt here and then ask for questions now before whatever announcement I have, I do. Thank you. I now call for questions.